So we are live now, right? What we can do, create nodes, right? We already have an application, and okay, so what kind of routes do we need? So for nodes application, it should be like a simple nodes application where we can post nodes, and we should be able to filter nodes by their tags, right? And I'm not sure if the source code going to be on GitHub, but we will see. So first route would be home, where we need option to post, create a post. We need option to post, and we need option to read posts, and the posts read posts will return something like with the tags. It will return posts with tags, and later on we will be able to filter posts by tag. So in that case we will only get posts where tag is of that kind, where tag ID matches a certain type, right? So that's okay. And okay, so the first, then later on we will also have an option to log in and register, then log out. Now for the interface, I was thinking, why not just simply use plain old HTML and pre-render the template. Maybe we could also do React, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay, so first of all, the first thing we have to figure out whether we want to use the standard library, and or we should be using a framework like Gin, Golang. Echo is the Echo framework in Go is probably used for only REST APIs, and I want to see if they provide anything to support templates. Okay, custom HT, custom validation, multi-template. Okay, I think it will be much nicer to just build the interface in React. Yeah, I think that would be nice to build an interface in React. And database, we're going to use MySQL. So I think this will be a REST API project that will use React on the front end, and we will use MySQL as database, and for web framework we will use Echo in Golang Echo. Okay, so Bitbucket. First of all, let's go to C go source directory, go work source directory, and make directory Bitbucket. Also, let's see if we have any chat. Currently use Bitbucket okay. mkdir cd nodes, and in nodes we will do something like mkdir, no, actually go mod initialize, and it will use the same repository name. and we open it up. Let's see how we can use echo. Get started. We'll probably need that. And while it's doing this, let's cd into the same directory and touch.env, and for reading environment variable, we can simply add env. We want to use it as a bin command. I see, as a library. Go mod. What does that use stand for? Does it mean use? Without now only upgrades the directory and interact dependency of your project package. No longer examine your entire module. So when we pass u without any argument, only upgrades the direct and indirect dependency. Okay, so okay, it's for I see. From your current module path update. Okay, the similar, but also upgrade the test dependencies for your module root. Upgrade all the directories and indirect dependency of your module, and now exclude the test dependencies. Go get environment, and let's cat go mod. We should have go.env and j.go. Okay, so seems like we got most of the packages. Okay. And request routing in echo. Before we do that, so let's see how does it handle this. Just load .env, create .env file. So basically we have to add .env and get.ignore file, but as of now we will just ignore that. So app db app db connection, and it will be for connect database. So let's try Golang. Install that. Okay, so it's done, and go to doc. For documentation, Golang open. So we have Postgres MySQL. Okay, so why we are simply redirected to the documentation MySQL package import MySQL. Korea. Okay, connect to database. There should be a MySQL. Okay, so go on. Do we have to install that? We will see. Go SQL driver MySQL. In order to connect to the database, you need to import the database driver first. For example, okay, Golang has wrapped some driver to make it easier to remember the import path. So So you could import the MySQL driver with the MySQL. Okay. Golang. So that will be the URL of our database. Okay, so connection username will be root. Password, I'm not using any password, and notes and character set gonna be this. Okay, after we do that, if we run, there is we should be okay. Let's now OS get env, and we're going to get db connection db and we should see our query string, our connection string, println, and go run.main. Okay, so where is that file? Reveal in Explorer. Okay, we can simply copy both of these and open that. We can skip it, or maybe we should not skip it because never mind, we will just create one more entry. Okay. And let's open that. Now run go run.main.go, and we do string our config string from our env file. As you can see, we are using get.env from operating system from OS module. Okay, now next step would be like set up routing. Let's say route migration request routing. Installation, customize context, request response, okay, so this is the way we import. So once the env is loaded, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna use that package called echo, and we also have to have import. Okay, so what do we import? Is it import? Can we just search it on that? No result for import. Interesting. Getting started. Import. Okay. Okay, let's check echo. I have seen an example where the version 4 was imported. I will look into it and why was that. And so what we are doing here, we are simply returning a new structure, probably it will be a data structure, and then we handle get on this URL, and we get the context of our request, and we can return string. And okay, so let's just do that. So we get the and probably get so for get we can have this home URL, and Okay, so we will see home URL, and it's not gonna do much. The home will not do much. As of now, we will just return hello world, and let's try that. Func cs context echo dot context, and is it a pointer? No, echo dot context. What it returns? I think it returns error, and that's true. And we will read, as of now, just return c dot string http status. I think we also have status. Okay, status okay, then we simply return hello world. And it should work fine. So let's read that, and we going to run. Before we run it, we have to, and now we specified the routing, we have to specify the server and probably run the server, and we use start to run the server, and let's run it on 8080 and elogger.feather logger.feather. And that is why, because in case our port is already bound to some running port, that way we will have that log on the log on our standard output, right? And if we run it, let's try go run main.co. Server started on, okay. If we go to localhost 8080, yes, we get hello world. Now here is the thing, in Go it will not update itself, so we have to kind of like restart the server. If we keep doing that, I will probably lose my head. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use a library called flash, which I already have installed, and we're gonna simply call it, and it will take care of the reloading. So what it basically does, it will watch the source code, and you can also create a configuration file for that, and it will just restart the server every time we make a change to file. So you can test it right there, and it's restarted itself. Only socket, hope it works. Okay, maybe something went wrong. Okay, so it's working, and now as of now I will not care about authentication as of now, because I would love to have a working version. And for the first API, we will be building the create nodes API, and create nodes and read nodes, and let's look into it. But before we do that, I want to also make it clear, like what we're gonna do. We're gonna call a new folder, services, and in services we gonna create a package, a new folder, and that will be it will be create post, create node, create node, right? And the only thing it does is just simply create node.go package, create node, and function func initialize or handler. And what it will return echo.context, import echo.context, and we're gonna return error. Okay, handler, this one is just for documentation. Error handlers or not serves actually. Handler handles. It's a creation handles not creation. We can come up with the better documentation, but let's return null as of now. And we will need a GoRM in here, and e dot for creating, we're gonna create post and create node. We're gonna function, no, we will not call a function, we will just import that module or package, and we will just simply define it in here. So what we're gonna do, we're going to call github.com, not actually bitbucket.com. Okay, never mind, we will just copy that. And the services, from services we're gonna create node, and could not import the package services. Okay, services handler. All right, so we have this thing right now. Let's call C JSON. JSON is simply used to render the JSON values, and there is a method called bind in C, but I would like to see C request. What it does: request interface request context interface request. So it's a method, and I want to see what is, so it returns the request data, so we will be able to print it out. fmt print and for JSON we're simply gonna return http status okay, and test, or maybe we can just simply return the request. Now for this, to test this, we basically have to open up something like simulate a custom HTTP request. I used to use Postman, but recently they made a lot of changes to the Postman where it's kind of like unusable. I have to probably create a new account because I have old repositories on Postman and they are not working for some reason. So I will just send a request to the spot, and let's open up AT and our request create node. That will be our request. Create node handler, so the data will be there, and let's send a request. No body. Do we print out anything? Okay, so undefined HTTP on line number 13 because we haven't imported it. Wait, it's under net, so let's try that. Okay, let's send. Okay, so we have data but it's not showing up. Probably before we go Golang main.go. Okay, so we have HTTP status. Okay, so we accepted. So accepted, what we get in accepted? Status okay. Okay with the capital okay. Okay. Now restart, rerun the refresh. And let's send request. We're still not getting anything. Okay, in post we do get in lots of things in console, but not in. Do we have to return it? No, actually we don't have to return it. There is something else that is going on. Let's try. Okay, c.json. Then we have test preview, nothing inside the preview. Yes, it's a post request. Okay, note HTTP status is okay, and we have test. Let's see what we get when we say string, and we do get string back. Does that mean we have to JSON marshal it to provide JSON? Okay, is it still? Probably header is not set. Okay, so the header is not set. Okay, so let's experiment a bit in v4 and no package. Actually, there was a git repo gv commerce. Okay, I see. So we are using a different version of echo. Makes sense. c.set header, not handler but set header. Okay, so we don't have header. We have to look into the documentation. Okay, response header echo content type. Okay, mem type JSON. Right header status is equal to okay. New encoding C response encode U. I see. Let's just try that. Okay, so it's still treated as a string. We have to like do few things. Either we have to pass it as a structure, or yeah, like we have to pass it as a struct, then it will probably do it. But let's, before we do that, let's see what's up with that version 4 thing, v4. Golang echo v4. v4. Any of those versions will allow you to import echo as which is recommended way of using echo going forward. So we are already doing a kind of stupid thing, so we should be doing that, and it's also like much more fun to use it. So package.echo. Will it work? Probably it should work, I think. Try that. And create node. We will probably get rid of that. Get rid of it. And see request. Try to print it. Internal server error. Okay. And why is that? Go run.main. Interesting. Okay, first of all, let's get rid of this. Instead of request, we will simply return string. Okay, we're still getting that error. Let's see if somebody is not there. No one is there. Okay. Response. Context error. String. Internal server error. And why that is. Echo. Which is recommended way of using echo going forward. For the older version, please use the latest version tag. Okay. Echo instance. Let's see if we can print out the out errors. Libstack using middlewares. Echo new. Echo use middleware logging. Middleware cannot use middleware because value of type value is argument to use. Go get. Can we do that? Go get. We want to do this thing. Okay, so go run main.go. Okay, cannot use middleware logging. Middleware, probably using that. Okay, so allow access. Insomnia. Okay, so it's working now. But we also kind of have to clear out dependencies that we haven't used. Right. So one thing I have to look out for is since we kind of like imported version 4, do we have to remove the default echo framework we just installed, right? That would be like interesting to know, like look into it. We can't just ignore that. So that's been done, and let's say c.request, and what does request returns? Or do we have to save it? It will be string. Instead of string, we do JSON. Something is off. Create nodes get post handler. Okay, so we forgot to refresh it. Fresh. Okay, internal server error, so we probably cannot do it. Do we have any reason why we get this error? JSON unsupport type function IO reader latency. Okay, so that function does not support our custom type. Interesting. Okay, so we have to bind result bind. Okay, so we create this user and we bind this user to that result. So what we have in there, we have request data, and we will have text, user ID, or probably at some point we will have a token and we will guess JW token, and we will be able to guess user ID by that token basically. So we are not worried about it. So as of now it should be able to just handle text. Okay, so JSON name, XML form name, query name. Why there is so much garbage? Query name, probably text, and that will be text. Bind c bind var user request, or maybe we can say data or input will be new request data, and input we will bind that thing. If input input, then we see if node is equal to nil, we simply send a error message saying that we are unable to serve your create or parse your request as of now, and that will be JSON let's see if it's error unable to user request pass input. Okay, but to test it out we have to like make this part fail, and we will just simply do right there, right, and return it early and see if this works. Okay, so we are getting same JSON. We're not getting JSON, so we are getting a plain text file, which is not all right. So what we can do, we can make a structure and HTTP status okay. Instead of okay, we can simply create a structure where we can say that will be our error response. But before we do that, we will just get rid of it. Okay, also we would love to log this error in case something happens. And for in here we will simply print out input and see if the input is working fine. Okay, couldn't connect to the server because probably restarting, or we screwed something. Receive internet service. Okay, so the text is there, but there is no value. The reason is simple. We have to provide text. Hello world test. So we're gonna get rid of this and send, and we get hello world, right? So once we have that, first thing would be like we cannot create an empty post. Let's create a type error response error struct. And we will have list of yeah, we can have one error, we can have a list of errors. So that is just like we will say error string and JSON text will be error status. The status code by default will be failure, but we can test out status. We don't need to pass status, we will simply send errors, right? So if we can, let's say error response, and this assume that we give it as list of string. And I would love to figure out if there is any better way to deal with that. I mean, for let's say we create this route, but overall in the entire system the error message format will be same, and we don't want it to be changed for any other routing. The reason is simple, like if we have a mobile application and one service returns a string simple single error, and other services return multiple errors, it will just not gonna scale, or it's not best practice in a sense. Then your mobile developer and front-end developer have to deal with both the cases where sometimes the API can return simple array of strings, array of errors, or a simple string. So we do get unable to parse input, or in our case we can say that okay, so what we can do is create var. Now here's the thing, I don't want a global just for errors, so we will simply have function which is like response error but then there comes the issue: do I want that function in your Kit project? No, probably not in the Kit. Or do you want it in utility? That's interesting. Return error, error string value text. Right. So error response response error. ठीक है. We can simply this. Actually, this is for success, so we're probably not gonna do that in here. I would love to know if somebody knows how we deal with this situation where you have to where you have to return a response from your each service, and the structure should be same, and you don't want to share the same code over and over. Maybe probably the best way would be to create a utility functions inside your services, or maybe have a Kit project where you have a response library and where the entire response is defined in structured way, right? And for success, I think for success we can have multiple different type of response, and maybe it has to have some structure also, but we'll see. Okay, for success we probably want to say the post is created. And the JSON status bad getter, bad request, failed, bad request. I see. Okay, bad request is fine. If input text is equal to empty, we probably don't want to create the text empty node, because it does not make sense to create it. Text is empty. I think it should have some value in it. Text field is required. Text is required. And we're going to just simply not add the commas or capitalize any errors. That will be up to the front end or mobile developer, something like that. So in the end, we have to also create a success response, right? So, and we also have to provide a structure for success. As of now, I'm just simply gonna send anything that makes sense. Text get a node. So instead of text, we can say that node, and for there also we can make it node. Since we are going to store a node and we want to see that node value is not empty, right? So it makes sense to rename text from node, but we'll see. We'll do little things later on. So node is created, but it's not really created. So what are you gonna do? Do we have more? So we have Go ORM, and we're not gonna do something like we're not gonna define a global connection, and we will just simply initialize the request in here, like connection on the request, and from there on we're gonna continue. Connect Go ORM. Documentation. How are we going to establish a connection? There we go. Connection open. Okay, so we have this. We're gonna use MySQL. Now, if you have noticed that we are already loading our .env file, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna use os get env, and we're gonna db con connection, and it will provide us with the required connection string. And if error node is equal to null, we simply gonna say that unable to create a connection to database. Database connection, and from now on we're gonna use this db.create. Okay, so in here what we're gonna create, we can do few things. Since we already have like create node.go, we can to just particularly to create a node or validate, we can have it another file. But since it's like it's not gonna be that big, we can, as of now, we can handle our error messages just in that file. And later on, when things start to go big, like once we add JWT and stuff like that, we can simply pull out most of the code in different files, and that way it will be more organized. Also, I'm trying to like see or learn what are the better ways to deal with or maybe how can we structure our Go application. And I'm not sure if there is any guide to like how would someone structure a Echo application. I would love to see it. And in Go, I noticed that most of the common way is to just use the standard library, and that is fine. I'm fine with that. But I find it to be more productive. But once your project grows, that's different. I think Echo does a lot of things. It's still relevantly very small. I would say framework, or yeah, it's a framework. So it's still very small if you compare it to Ruby on Rails or Laravel, or I mean, you name it, it's very small, still very tiny. Okay, so type nodes. Okay, do we have to use plural name? db update name password. Now the best thing about Go is it's super easy to get started. Like you just pull out those libraries, and there you have one like now we are just connecting to database. And if you think about any other framework or library, you have to like install a lot of dependencies For example, for PHP or Python, to make it work on Windows, you have to like use a lot of packages. But yeah, someone can say also the same goes for Go, because you are already installing binary. But I find it super lightweight to just get started with Go. Okay, so create. Okay, time.now, birthday.time.now. I think it will require us to have timestamp. Create animal. We will need this code. The reason is simple. Let's say we have let's open our database, and we want to say nodes. Okay, so there is no database called nodes. Localhost phpMyAdmin, new database, nodes, and .env. So that is fine. Okay, let's open SQL. Open the database, create new table, nodes, and we have ID. Think we can just do that in localhost phpMyAdmin. SQL structure. Let's try that. Nodes. And the name. Okay, so the first will be ID, right? And it's gonna be primary, and we're going to auto increment, and this will be node. Do we want text? Okay, so maximum length, or do we want to have a limit for nodes, like we can't store after a certain text column? I think text will be like really big already. I don't think we need more than that. Maybe later on we will specify a custom type. Okay, and as a default will be like empty, and collection, I think none, because we can't created at updated at date. Is it timestamp? So for for this scenario, we should be using a migration library, but I think it will be too much work. Migration Golang to do it in Go. I think we will look into it, but not now. Let's try to save it. No, that's not what we are looking for. Yeah, probably not this. Okay, so I will do one thing, which is I will cheat a little, and I will use a script that I already have created. GitHub. and learning closure, source directory migrations, create user table, nodes table up. And the reason is simple. We just want to make things all right. Okay, save, don't actually no, discard it and delete that, drop it, and in data can we fire up a query. So we probably don't need title and user ID. We will need at some point. So we will just remove this primary ID timestamp. Okay, so let's fire that. Fire it, refresh. Okay, so yeah, we kind of have it, right? So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a data structure for nodes and what we will have, go ORM model, and we're gonna use some properties from that. Probably not gonna use delete. Okay, so the next thing will be text and user ID. Text which will be string, user ID, and that will be simple integer. And let's initialize it. And nodes text going to be text will be the thing we created, and that text will be, we will get text from input and text, right? And this should be uppercase, or it will be much better to nodes not text will be imported text and created at will be time.now update data, same goes for update today. And user ID, probably as of now user ID will be empty. Use just empty 0 or 1 we can, and in here we can say let's create this record, and if the record new record is equal to, if that record is still new record, that means the creation is failed, because we literally called create and the record is still new. At this point we should have a old record that is attached to db that we passed in db create, right? And we will return error. Okay, unable to create. User record unable to create, and please try again later, and something like that. So once that is done, at success we should have a node, and let's see if it's working. Unable to create DB connection, I see. And why that is, can we get fmt println Undefined response error, online number 13. Okay, did we kind of I guess we kind of removed this type. Type structure, and we're gonna do this where we have errors and string and JSON error. Errors. Or do we really did that? I don't know. Go run main. Yeah, private message from network now. Okay, try to send it. Bad request. Root nodes character set. Okay, enable to create the connection. Let's go to. Okay, the reason is we have to use MySQL package. Golang MySQL. I think it will be better to like log that. C logger. Are we doing that? Logger.fatal. I have to like look into it how we can log from echo. And if I'm not wrong, we have to import it to like from packages. A blank import should only be in the main or test package or have a command justifying it. Okay, never mind. Unable to create database connection. Okay, so we are able to insert it, right? Let's see in our database. So those are the values that exist. So now what we want to do, I will clean it up and we'll start later on, but for me it's kind of like super easy to get started, but it gets messy when you don't have a proper structure. So you kind of have to like, at the same time you also have to like really think about where you're putting things. And I think overall my experience with Go has been like super fun, and it's like I just, for testing, it's super easy. I just have to create node underscore test, and I can simply test most of my services inside that. Yep, so that's about it. We will see later.